Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you've been around for a while, you may have noticed that I have not posted a long-form video in 7 months. So, yeah, I've been a little bit behind, kind of just busy or lazy, too lazy to edit stuff. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get better about that. I've been posting shorts and stuff, but I really want to get back into posting longer videos. So in these 7 months, you might have noticed that my channel has changed a little bit. Like, I'm no longer using voice changers. This is my real, natural voice. The voice changers were honestly kind of annoying, and I'm sorry about that. But I've also updated my banner and my profile picture on YouTube. While my channel grows and my art improves, I just want to be able to refresh some stuff, and I have taken a bit of a long break doing that, but I feel like I've really grown a lot as an artist, and I'm trying to commit more to the YouTube thing because I really love doing this, and it's crazy to see how far my channel has come in only a little bit over a year. I'm just so incredibly grateful for all of you guys. I mean, we're almost at 8,000 subscribers. This is a dream come true, and I'm so eternally thankful. With all of that said, let's move on to today's video. I sort of had an urge to just roast some of my old art because I've come so far in these last few months. I want to look back on the old stuff and comment on some stuff that I might have done differently if I knew then what I know now about art. And I just thought it would be really fun to do, so let's just get into it. Alright, so in the magical lands of IBIS Paint X, which is the digital art program that I used before I got Procreate. So it was the free one that I used, which I recommend it. It's pretty good if you're starting to get an introduction into digital art. So I think that that's great, and there's nothing wrong with the program. I just definitely need practice at this time. So this here is a drawing of my OC doll. He was my first ever OC that I ever made. And when I first made this piece, I was very happy about it. Apparently it took me 42 minutes to make. So we're gonna watch the speed paint, and I'm gonna do some commentary on how I think I did, and some stuff that I might have changed going into this sort of piece now. So I started out, okay, no sketch it looks like. I think I just went straight in with the line art. Oh, and I was using other art as reference. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah, okay, the shading is rough. That's very rough. Shading, okay. Yeah, I used no guidelines or sketch or anything. That's why it was so quick. It was just line art. Alright, okay. The background is something. I tried to go with some perspective for the tree in the front. I see that. Okay. Alright, it's not too bad, honestly. But there are definitely some things I would change now, going into it. So now editing the piece, I see that I only used 2 layers. All my coloring and line art was on the same layer, and my background was all on a separate layer. So that's definitely something that I do different now. And I noticed during the speed paint that for shading, I just took the color. I think I made it darker. I just did like a line of color, and then I took the blur tool and I just blurred it out like that. And that is definitely not how I do shading now. Now, what I would do for shading is I would take the original color and then make it darker, but then also make it a little more red and more saturated. And then you don't want to blur out all of your shadows. You just put the shadow where you want it to be. And if you don't want the hard edges, which I do now for my style. I use hard edge shadows a lot. You could still blur it out, but you don't want it to be as, you still want it to have the right shape instead of just being a line of shadow. And using those muted colors for shadows really washes out the colors of the drawing. Yeah, this is definitely, I've improved, I would say, from doing this. For the next piece on our agenda, this, I think, was a self-portrait, which is interesting. Apparently it took me 37 minutes, so I was very quick to do these drawings. And just from the looks of it, there's definitely a lot of anatomical inaccuracies, but, you know, that's to be expected. Those shoes and hands are very questionable. I believe that's a butterfly at the top, in the top right. That's also very interesting. Let's go ahead and watch the speed paint. Okay. Wow. Okay, so the body, I did the circles for the joints. Oh, the chicken scratch lines. Wow. This brings me back. So for that, how I did that body with the circles as the joints and all the lines and boxes, that doesn't really work for me now. Okay, I did do a sketch on this one, though. But I did chicken scratch that sketch. Okay. I realized I was very impatient with these drawings. Like, I just went straight in for it. No shading on this one either. Just flat color, which is okay for some styles. But, yeah, there's some things I would change to this one. Definitely. Alright, so for this one, I used 4 layers. My background, my color, my sketch layer, and my line art layer. So that's good. So I want to just, take a look at the skeleton of this drawing. So we have the skull, which is good. And then the rib cage, I guess would be here. The pelvis, I assume, is somewhere here, and then the spine goes up that way. The shoulder blades are like that. So there's definitely a lot of anatomical inaccuracies. First of all, these legs are different lengths. Like, if we just look at the lengths of these legs to the knee, they're different lengths. So, that's great. The feet meet at the same place, but if you stretched out these legs, this leg would inevitably be longer than the other one. So that's already wrong. These hands are, we're not even going to get into those right now. I think the arms are a different length too. This one has no elbow, even though I believe I drew the elbow in the sketch. Oh, that was my dog. This one does have an elbow though, so that's good. But the length distribution is wrong for that. So the elbow would be the same length. The forearm is the same length as the upper arm. And for this, it is not. Then also these feet are very questionable. I still can't draw feet, but that's a problem. Honestly, I don't see anything wrong with the face. It was a stylistic choice for sure. I feel like the mouth should be brought down. That way the chin isn't so large. But I had really no idea what anatomy was at the time of this drawing. I could now make some improvements, but you guys let me know if you would want to see a video of me recreating some of this old art in my current skill set, because I think that would be really fun. Be a good video idea. And then also for this sketch, let's look at this sketch. So as you guys can see, I was chicken scratching these lines like this. That was how I would do the lines, because I was not confident with my skill set being able to use confident strokes. But if you guys are doing sketches now, you want to use confident lines instead of these chicken scratch lines, because inevitably it'll make your sketch look way better if you actually have confidence about where you're putting your pen and where you're putting these brush strokes. Like right here, I could have just done one line, but instead I did multiple to get that shape, because I was still new to doing digital art. So if you do chicken scratch, that's okay, but you really want to work on your hand-eye coordination and being able to picture where you want to put these lines, because it'll really help your drawings have a good sense of confidence instead of the uncertainty that comes with chicken scratch sketches. Now we're going to be getting into Redwood Clan. This is where I learned a lot of my cat drawing skills by making this clan. So there's Holly Star, Clouded Gaze, Dappled Wish, Moth Whisper, Dawn Flower, Evening Briar, Copper Fur, Fern Cloud, I did not know was an existing cat, and Skyfoot, and Moonbreeze. So I think we should get into Dappled Wish, because if I'm looking at her pelt and her paws, some of the anatomy stuff, it would definitely change a lot about her design now, but I wonder how I did it back then. So let's take a look. Apparently this took me 1 hour and 7 minutes to do, so longer than the other ones. Alright, so I had a thing with referencing other artists' art. I didn't trace it, but I did reference it, which I don't do now. I use actual photo references. Those paws are interesting. Her face is very crooked as well. Alright, her chest and face are very fluffy, but then the rest of her body is not. I loved the blur tool. I was obsessed with it, because the blurring on those dapples is, it's a little painful. But, you know. Alright, okay. Oh, I wrote her a whole backstory. Okay. Give her some vines. Her eyes are cute. Alright. And then I just went with the simple red. Alright. Okay, so it's not too bad, but there are some anatomy issues. And then that pelt is very... I would definitely change a lot about that. So her head is very large. She has a very large head. I would make her head a lot smaller. And then her face, if her head was tilted to the side, her face would be very crooked still, and her ears are positioned like her head is straight, is looking up straight. So I would move her ears to be in line with her other features. And then it's her chest, no neck, so that's interesting. Her body is fine. Her legs are very short and her paws are huge, but her tail is a good length. These two legs are also different lengths. These two. Her paws are massive, they're very large, and I think I tended to make heads and paws a lot larger than they should be. Her paw, and then I would do the paws like this. When now I do paws, I mostly just show one of the toes of the paws when they're facing the side, because you can't really see the rest of the paw, and it's just a more simplified way of doing it. But for this coloring, the dappling of her pelt, because she's Dappled Wish, so she's a dappled cat. I would stick with the blue. I think that's a good choice. But I would make it more saturated so it doesn't wash her out. Like, those bold green eyes are really nice. I really like those. But I want to keep that bold color palette because I think it could do a lot for her. And then I also wouldn't blur out all the dapples so much. Like, I would make them more harsh because on an actual cat's fur, a dappled cat, like a tortoise shell, their fur isn't just like blurry and like splotchy looking. There's actual differences and contrasts in the color of their fur and the dapples. So I don't think I should have blurred it as much as I did. But I think overall it's not too bad. Like, the idea isn't horrible, and it's better than that first drawing that I did of the cat. So I give this one like a 6 out of 10. The next one is actually after I got Procreate. So I had a different program for this one, and I did do my line art and coloring on separate layers, so that's great. The background, and then the juice box layer, and then the credits. So this drawing I did for a challenge on YouTube, a Draw This in Your Style challenge for X-Ray Alpha Charlie. And this is like the first time I went back into drawing humans after quite a while. So, and I went in with no reference, which I think was my biggest mistake. So if we go in here, we can see that I struggled to get started, like with the face and the jaw. And because I wasn't using a reference, I had really no idea what kind of pose to do. And I was just like, overall, I had no idea what I was doing. His arm is very long, and that's like not an angle that our arms usually go at. So that's interesting. And then I experimented more with different arms. His face looks like he's an actual child. Like, I really did not do his face well. Okay, he's also very thin in this. Oh, I used my own hand as a reference. That is a good thing, mostly, but I did trace it, so that's kind of bad. But, you know, again, I was still learning here. I'm really unsure what the angles are for his hands and stuff. It's very interesting. The line art I also did was very thin, and I think the canvas was too small, so it looks kind of like pixely. And then that phone I just took from Google. So that's interesting as well. The shading was also super, like, messy, because I had no idea how to shade hair or anything. Yeah, but, you know, this drawing really helped get me back into drawing people, so I'm glad that I did do this. But, yeah, it does not look anything like the character. And I also traced the juice box, so not very proud of that, but I think that I put a lot of effort into it, and I definitely see why I did not win the challenge. So this took me 3 hours and 44 minutes to do. So I did put a lot of effort into it. But now let's critique it. So here, let's go into anatomy. His head is pretty big compared to the rest of his body. But the proportions honestly aren't bad. They're not horrible. So then we have his jaw, which honestly was not sharp enough. His neck was pretty good. The rib cage here, I made him way too thin. Like, I made him super scrawny. And then his arms super beefy, which makes no sense. His shoulders, and then the rest of his arms, like this. Not too bad. And then the hands are kind of a monstrosity. I don't know what this hand is and why it's stretched so far like that. The phone is massive. Yeah, and that really didn't help with the hands. This hand is way bigger than this one. So that's definitely a lot of anatomy struggles. The hair shading as well. I could have just stopped with shading up here, but I decided to put it all the way down. And then I also put shadows literally everywhere. I did not need shadows like that. And then for this color, it's basically this color, but just turned down like this. I should have made it closer to this color, just so it didn't wash out the drawing again. And then I don't know what my idea was with the pointy thumb. It's just, and also here, shading his pecs. I don't really even know what I did. I think I just took an airbrush and just airbrushed that. And they're very square. Like, they're shaped like squares, which isn't exactly what they're supposed to look like. Tiny little button nose, huge eyes. But honestly, the placement of the features isn't too bad. Then also the eyebrows over the hair is kind of a pet peeve. But in fairness, this was my first time drawing humans in a while, and I think that for what it is, I did pretty good. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, maybe leave a like, or if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It really helps out. And again, I cannot thank you guys enough for nearly 8,000 subscribers. That is actually insane, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. But if you like this video, let me know if I should do a part 2 or maybe redraw some of my old art. Just let me know what kind of stuff you guys would be interested in seeing, because I'm trying to post a new video every month of 2025 and I need some ideas. So leave a comment what you would like to watch, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!